Alright, so it's Friday again, and that means it's time for another time lapse here on the channel. So I'm going to be making a Stitch time lapse in this video. It's been a long time since I made anything Stitch, and it's about high time that I actually made one for a time lapse. So you can see him there. And I get a lot of questions as to why I put white duct tape on the white canvas, because it's roughly the same color. And the reason I do that is because you want the whole background to have the exact same texture as the design that you're going to stick on it. And if you just stick it right on the canvas, it doesn't really look the same, and it doesn't give that same texture. So even though even though the canvas is white, I'm always going to put a white duct tape background on it. So now you can see Stitch there. I'm going to be cutting him out on the dark blue tape. Wish it was kind of like a different color blue, kind of like a little lighter color that I could use for his body, because it's kind of like that lighter blue color, but unfortunately just the dark blue is what I'm going to have to use. So just carefully going to peel that up there. Did a pretty good job on that one giant piece. I'm going to peel that up and stick it right on the canvas. So right about there. And this whole picture that I got online is a little bit different than the traditional pictures I usually use, because a lot of the cartoon characters that I traditionally use in time lapses, they don't have a lot of like contrast lines. Like every cartoon character will have, little lines that the artist adds to it to give a little bit of contrast. And some great examples of ones that really don't have any contrast lines are like the Powerpuff Girls. They're all mostly solid colors, and it's really easy to cut those out on duct tape. But with Stitch here, it's a big difference because there aren't actually like hardly any of those lines. I'm cutting out one now, as you can see, but that's really just when you blow the image up this big, it forms more or less a solid line. But it's really just a small little pencil stroke when they're drawing the character. So that makes it kind of difficult to work with. You kind of have to find the the compromise between adding a whole bunch of those but also cutting a few of them out because they aren't totally necessary. So I'm going to add part of the tuft on his head right there. I worked on his ear before. Now I'm going to work on his nose. And for the nose I did a little bit of layering decoration. Used the all black. Then I'm going to use some blue. And then there's a small little black mark which I'm going to stick right in the middle of that. You'll notice when you get towards the end of the video, I did skip a few segments just because it would have taken a really long time. I was already pushing over 7 minutes of this video already, so didn't want to make it like really long for you guys. Now we're using the electric blue for his eye. Really no choice there than to use electric blue. It's like the perfect color for it. So cutting out the black, this will obviously be a layery decoration. Be sticking that right on top there. And I need a little bit of white for the white part of his eye. So sticking that on right there, looks perfect, just like the actual piece of paper. Just going to stick it right there. The eye for Stitch is really important because it's a great contrast for his entire image here, so you want to make sure you're doing that nice and clean looking. Now I'm going to work on part of his eyelash and his eyebrow. They're both right there, right next to each other. Now I'm working on two of those spots that are on the back. He kind of has like two dark blue streaks on his back, and those you can barely see from this side. It just kind of looks like two small ovals. Now I'm working on part of where his neck is. Has one giant black piece that goes straight across, and it is kind of difficult to see because it's on the dark blue tape. But you'll be able to see it once I zoom in towards the end of the video. There's a little bit of his chest. That's also the electric blue tape. I'm going to stick that on, do a little trimming, kind of figure out where it needs to go. And he has a little bit of tuft of hair, which I cut out a little bit there. Now I'm going to work on just part of that other blue part on his body there. You can kind of see where my hand isn't in the way. I'm kind of just tracing these out just by looking at them. I could just stick it on with the packaging tape and just try to, to cut it out, but it's a lot easier if you're trying to do it this way because you can always kind of move the black lines to where you need them to go. It is a little bit difficult though. It really takes a lot of time to work with. So working on kind of that other part right there, that's electric blue. There's a whole bunch of little border lines, little contrast lines here. You can see me sticking those on. I do have a few of those cut. That's part of like the pads on his paws, kind of just like a dog or a cat has. They definitely drew him to look just like that. And I'm just sticking those on. We're getting towards the end of the time lapse here, just putting a little bit of the border lines on. You'll see a few times actually skip because I did skip ahead just to, you know, make it a little bit faster to watch. And it wasn't really that interesting, so it was kind of a win-win. Now I'm working on his claws on the bottom. Still a little difficult to see because it's on the dark blue tape, but you should be able to see when I do zoom in towards the end there. There you go, you can start to see those there. I'm glad I definitely did that. I did add a little bit of a mark there because that's where his tail is, just to kind of give an idea that's where it is. Now one last thing we're going to work on is Stitch's signature. This is his official Disney signature. When I worked down at Disney World, I spent a lot of time with Stitch, and he actually taught me how to forge his signature pretty well. So I drew it on Sharpie on that piece of duct tape, and now I'm just tracing around it and just give an exact, you know, reproduction of the of his signature there. So it looks pretty authentic, just as if you went down to Disney World and got an autograph book signed by him. So working on the T. The T's are actually two, like one cross across both of them, and the I is in the middle of it, obviously. So now I got to work on the C. All of the letters are pretty stylized, and you'll be able to see them when I stick them on. They look pretty cool. But right now I'm just cutting out the H, and then I'll be sticking those on. Alrighty, so there's the H. Now I'm going to stick them on. You got the stylized S. And then working on both of those T's. It's going to be right about there. There's the I in the middle, and of course the dot for it. There's the C, as well as the H. And there you go. And there is the Stitch time lapse here on the channel. So hopefully you guys liked the video, and I'll catch you next time.